Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. All I have to say for today's video is, oh my goodness, Shadow Latios is actually really good in the Retro Cup, and it was such a fun pick to use. We went positive with it. I got 2 4-1s. I did get a 2-3 in between, and I also got a 3-2 with it. So I ended up climbing from 2,880 to the 2,960s, which is kind of insane, with Shadow Latios. So really all we needed was a ban for fairy types, and all these dragon types are absolutely demolishing in the Retro Cup, and I absolutely love it. I love using Shadow Dragon types. I'm not going to explain too much about this team because I don't really expect anyone to use it. I just have that Dunsparce on the lead to take care of the biggest weakness for this team, which is going to be that Jumpluff. It has access to that Fairy Wind, which is going to be super effective against both of the Annihilate and the Latios. It's also going to destroy us with the Aerial Aces because Latios is really squishy and Annihilate is going to take super effective from that. So that's why I have Dunsparce on the team. But aside from that, I don't really have much to say. It all came down to sort of a little bit of luck and being able to land that Luster Purge, which I did invest an Elite TM for on my Shadow Latios. And really quickly, I should point out, these battles, some of them, the ones at the beginning of this video, were filmed before the Go Wild event. I did get busy with that event over the weekend, so I couldn't get this video out as soon as I wanted to. But because I have some battles that are old, I decided today to play with this team again, and we went positive with it again. It was really fun. I really enjoyed this team. I also, after using this team, I tried it out with Annihilate Double Dragon. That was fun as well, but we didn't win as consistently as the team that you guys are seeing on the screen right now. And you guys are going to see, so basically what happened was I started using Shadow Latios a few days ago, and I didn't think it was going to be good. So I wasn't recording my battles, but when I saw that I was winning, I was like, oh my gosh, this is content. I have been waiting for good content. I need to record this. So you guys are gonna see half of a set at the beginning of this video. The battles you guys are seeing right now are from the second set that I played, which is a negative set. But the first set that I played with Shadow Latios, I went 4-1. It was pretty awesome. And I am kicking myself for not having all the battles recorded. But let's jump into the battles that I do have recorded. So let's rewind a little bit back in time and get into the first set. So we are going to be up against a Primeape here. I swapped immediately into my Latios. I went ahead and shielded the Rage Fist. And then my opponent brings in a Dunsparce. And they let me land the Luster Purge, which probably takes my opponent by surprise, and then they bring in a Girafarig. We are going to be resisting the confusions, but they're still going to hurt a lot because we're a Shadow Latios. I make it to a Dragon Claw. We win CMP, and then we take a shield from my opponent. I am going to be able to bring in my Dunsparce here and farm my opponent's Girafarig down, and then I come in actually with Annihilate to get a counter in because this Primeape is super spammy, and that might be a little bit scary for my Annihilate, but it looks like we are going to be able to counter them down anyways, and my opponent goes ahead and surrenders. So that Luster Purge was able to one-shot that Dunsparce. Of course, we had a little bit of Dragon Breath damage, but that was kind of insane. Moving on to the second battle I have recorded from the set, we are going to be up against a Dunsparce on the lead. Now here's the thing, Dunsparce lead is usually going to have a Jumpluff in the back, so you kind of want to draw it out with your Latios. However, my opponent goes ahead and swaps into a Tropius. Okay, so I was thinking that my opponent might be running Tropius and Jumpluff in the back. So I stay in with my Dunsparce. I need to damage this as much as possible. And gonna go for a Rock Slide here. Let's see what my opponent decides to do. They give up a shield. Okay, that's good. We still have 2 shields left. So we can save those 2 shields for Latios. Now I bring in Annihilate. You're probably wondering why I would do this. It's because I'm calling that my opponent is running Leaf Blade and Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing probably because so many people are running Oranguru. It looks like I'm correct because my opponent goes for a Leaf Blade against her Annihilate, and my opponent's final Pokemon, very, very lucky for me, is a Quillfish. I have 2 shields left for my Latios. I can go ahead and come in and Dragon Breath this Quillfish down. I know that this next move is going to be the Aqua Tail, and Aqua Tail is resisted, so I'm going to let it go and save a shield in case I need it, which I do. For this Dunsparce, I'm going to go ahead and shield the Drill Run here. This Dragon Claw should be enough to take them out, and I should be able to Dragon Breath their Quillfish down and take that win. GG's to our opponent, and that is going to be the end of that first set. Like I said, I am really mad at myself for not recording all of them. I had a really amazing win against a Clodsire that didn't have any shields left, and Luster Purge, well, you guys can probably guess what happened there. I'm gonna let you guys fill in the blanks. But anyways, let's move back forward in time to the second set, which I started at the beginning of this video, but we are going to be up against a Quagsire on the lead. I swapped immediately into my Latios and we draw out the Jumpluff. I decide to shield the Aerial Ace only because I want to try to damage this a little bit more before letting my Latios go. So I am going to be able to land, or actually my opponent goes ahead and double shields their Jumpluff, so I'm not able to land a Dragon Claw on them. However, I am going to let my Latios go there and then bring in my Dunsparce, and I think I'm going to attempt to farm them down. Actually, no, I didn't want to take another move, so I did have to go for that Rock Slide. And yeah, my opponent is going to bring that Shadow Quagsire back in. I am going to go for a Drill Run here, and then I'm going to take an Aqua Tail and then swap into my Annihilate. So, oh, never mind. My opponent actually goes for a Stone Edge. I swap into Annihilate, and my opponent's final Pokemon is a Talonflame. Okay, I should be able to take this out with 2 Rage Fists, but here's the problem. My opponent is going to be able to get to an Aqua Tail against our Annihilate, and Annihilate is, at this point, in range of an Aqua Tail KOing. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to take this win, but I was able to make it really close, even though my opponent had 2 flying types in the back. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to get a terrible lead of Primeape. I swap immediately into my Latios, and I have to shield that Rage Fist. It will do way too much damage. So my opponent takes a shield from us, and then they swap into Jumpluff. I was really hoping that my opponent would call a Dragon Claw and not shield that Luster Purge, but they went ahead and shielded it, and I decide to let my Latios go. I am going to come in with my Dunsparce now and try to do as much damage as I can to this Jumpluff. Unfortunately, they're running Acrobatics, and that really, really hurts my Dunsparce, and my opponent's final Pokemon is an Oranguru. So really, there wasn't much I could have done in this battle. This was kind of a hard counter team for my team. They were running that fighter on the lead for my Dunsparce. They had a Jumpluff, which is really good against Latios, and they had an Oranguru in the back for my Annihilate. So not much I could do there. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to be up against the Oranguru on the lead this time, and I really can't swap into one of my back Pokemon. Ideally, I would love to have my Latios aligned to this, but yeah, we're going to stay in with Dunsparce and try to damage this as much as possible, and of course going to save both of my shields for my Latios. I'm able to take them out, and let's see what my opponent brings in next. They bring in a Kingdra, which is very interesting. I have not seen this played in the Retro Cup. We managed to take a shield from them with the Drill Run on Dunsparce, and then I come in with Annihilate, and my opponent actually goes ahead and shields our first Rage Fist, but they get super lucky because they get the debuff from the Octazooka. I still have a shield left here. I went ahead and shielded the first Octazooka, and my opponent is going to be able to reach another one because of that debuff. Really annoying, but I'm going to let Annihilate go, and my opponent's final Pokemon is a Dugong. Okay, let's see how this goes. They don't have any shields left, so I should be able to land that Luster Purge. However, they debuffed us with the Icy Wind, and I swapped out to clear the debuff. Thankfully, the Luster Purge KOs the Dugong, and we're actually able to take that win. That is going to be a 2-3, so that was a negative set, but the rest of the sets that I'm going to show you guys are positive. All right, moving on to the next battle, we are going to be up against an Annihilate on the lead, another terrible lead for us. I swap immediately into my Latios, and my opponent swaps out into a Goodra. Okay, I bring in Dunsparce here. I probably could have come in with my Annihilate and farmed them down. That way I would be ahead by a little bit of energy for their Annihilate, but I decided that I could take both of the moves that my opponent was going to reach on my Dunsparce and come out of this with energy for their Annihilate, so I can go for a Drill Run here, and I even have shield advantage. I'm going to go for a Rage Fist up against this Dragonite. They go ahead and shield. Are we going to be able to make it to another one? We are, and we CMP tied, so I can go ahead, shield their Dragon Claw, and I still have a shield left for their Annihilate. I will be able to reach a Rage Fist against them here. Going to go ahead and shield the move from their Annihilate, and now I can safely go for that Rage Fist. My opponent has no Pokemon left to swap out, and we're able to take them out and take that win. GG's to our opponent. Moving on to the next battle, we are going to be up against a Shadow Dragonair on the lead. I am going to stay in this and try to damage them as much as possible. Now, a lot of people like to shield their Shadow Dragonairs, but in this case, my opponent actually lets the Drill Run go, and I should be able to reach another one before my opponent can make it to another Aqua Tail, and they are going to let this one go as well. So they let Dragonair go, they bring in Dunsparce. I'm going to stay in this because I want my Annihilate aligned to their Dunsparce. I'm going to be able to weaken them with a Drill Run, and now I can bring in Annihilate. I'm not going to shield their first one, but I might have to shield. Oh, my opponent actually goes for a Rock Slide on the first move. I have done it before where I have tapped the wrong move, so I completely understand if that's what ended up happening there. But we were able to no-shield a Rock Slide and also no-shield a Drill Run, which is really good for us. That means I can save my shields for Latios. And my opponent's final Pokemon is a Clodsire. My opponent has both their shields left, so I have to go for these Dragon Claws to get the shields out of the way. Of course, they are going to go ahead and shield whatever Latios is going to throw, because that is going to hurt more than whatever my Annihilate is going to throw. Okay, they reach that Stone Edge. They're able to take our Latios out, and then I can come in with Annihilate. And I went for a Night Slash in case my opponent tried to catch a move on Dunsparce, but they don't. And that ends up being a little bit of a risky play, because that means I now can't KO their Dunsparce with a Night Slash of my own, but it's okay because we're able to take them out with the counter afterwards, and we still took that win. Thank goodness that Dunsparce didn't reach another move. I have to be honest, I wasn't keeping track of energy there. Moving right along to the next battle, I think I get destroyed in this one. My opponent led a Shadow Annihilate. I swapped into my Latios, and they bring out a Kecleon, and this Kecleon has access to Sucker Punch, which is a dark type move, and that is really going to hurt our Latios. So they're basically able to take Latios out. I was able to take a shield from them at least, and then instead of bringing in my Annihilate, I come in with my Dunsparce because I did not want to take any of their moves on my Annihilate. I then bring in my Annihilate to finish them off, and my opponent brings their own Annihilate into ours, which means their final Pokemon is probably weak to this. And I'm pretty sure I messed this up somewhere, because my opponent is going to go for a Rage Fist here. Oh no, never mind. I'm thinking of another match. My opponent goes ahead and top lefts because I was going to be able to reach that Rage Fist before they could. And I'm assuming their final Pokemon was another normal type. Moving on to the next battle, I hate this lead. This lead means my opponent is going to have that Jumpluff in the back. So I'm going to stay in and try to damage them as much as I can with my own Dunsparce. And I really need to look for an opening where I can swap out into my Latios. But bringing Latios into a Dunsparce that has a lot of energy is a little bit risky. But I know that I'm going to win CMP, and I am going to be able to take their Dunsparce out, and then my opponent brings in that Jumpluff. At least I'm able to reach a Rock Slide against their Jumpluff. We take a shield from them. I kind of needed that damage, but hey, we got the shield. I am going to be able to come in with Latios, and I think oh, never mind. My opponent is just going to absolutely destroy me here because they have a Drifblim in the back. Oh, Dunsparce, Jumpluff, Drifblim. That is a very good team, I have heard. Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and surrender because there is nothing I can do against that Drifblim. GG's to our opponent. Moving on to the next battle, again, another Dunsparce on the lead. Am I going to change my strategy here? Let's see. Staying in for now with my Dunsparce, and I am going to try to go for, I think I'm going to go for 2 drill runs, and I need them to go for 2 drill runs as well because I need to get rid of some of that energy that they have before I bring in Latios. And yes, this time I change it up a bit. I swap into Latios because I really need to draw that Jumpluff out. It works. We're able to go for a Dragon Claw too. And I probably should have gone for a Luster Purge because this time my opponent actually called a Dragon Claw. So I could have definitely built up to that Luster Purge. But at least we're able to get some damage off on their Jumpluff. And that's the most important part here because we're able to get them into the yellow. My opponent actually undercharges their Aerial Ace. I think they undercharged there. But that means they're able to get energy on Jumpluff, and I have to go for the Rock Slide immediately on my Dunsparce. Thank goodness they let Jumpluff go. I'm able to take them out, and my opponent's final Pokemon is a Clodsire. Okay, this is fine because we are resisting their fast move. I just have to watch out for the Earthquakes. We successfully shield the first Earthquake. I am going to start building up my damage with these Rage Fists, and my opponent actually shields the second Rage Fist, I believe. And here I was calling that my opponent was going to do this and snipe me with their Dunsparce, but I didn't react fast enough. But luckily for me, I know that my Dunsparce wins CMP over most Dunsparces, so I am going to CMP tie with them on the drill run. That means I'm able to get a little bit of extra energy on Dunsparce to reach another drill run for their Clodsire. And thank goodness it takes them out, and we're actually able to take that win despite my opponent trying to snipe my Annihilate. And that is going to be another 4-1 with this team, taking us into the 2950s. Now we're going to jump a little bit forward in time to today. These battles are from today. Like I said, I didn't want to give you guys just the old battles. I wanted to see if I could still make Latios work today. And this first game, I mess up really badly. I could have won this, but you guys are going to see where I mess up. We swap into our Latios. My opponent led an Annihilate of their own. And we draw out a Dunsparce. I go ahead and double shield my Latios against their Dunsparce. It looked like we might have been able to take that Dunsparce out, but then my opponent swaps into a Cresselia. Okay. We damage the Cresselia with our Latios, and then I swap into my Dunsparce. I am in a pretty decent position here. I'm going to go for this drill run against this Cresselia. My opponent is saving their final shield for Annihilate, which is not good for me because I really need to land a move from my Annihilate on theirs. I'm going to go for a Rage Fist here, and I'm expecting my opponent to let this one go. Actually, they don't let this one go. This is really good for me because the second one is going to do more damage. That first one might not have KO'd. And I went for a catch here. My opponent actually goes for the Rage Fist. And then my opponent makes a catch of their own. I should have just waited here because I knew my opponent was going to do this. But they managed to catch the Rage Fist on their Dunsparce. And that means their Annihilate is going to be able to reach another Rage Fist on mine, and they are going to take that win. So I go ahead and I top left. Well played to my opponent. Moving on to the next battle, we are going to be up against an opponent that is running a Spice Pick of their own. They are running Lunatone with Psywave and Rock Slide. So I am going to be able to hit for super effective with these drill runs, take the Lunatone out, and then my opponent brings in a Dunsparce of their own. I stay in this because I really need to align my Annihilate to their Dunsparce. I would much rather have Annihilate against Dunsparce than my Latios. So I'm gonna let my Dunsparce go. Thank goodness they throw some of their energy and don't go for a farm down. I don't think they would have been able to farm us down anyways without having to take a lot of moves from my Dunsparce. But we're going to be able to bring in Annihilate, and then my opponent's final Pokemon is a Feraligatr. I noticed they were going to be able to farm us down, so I swap into my Latios, and I'm going to start damaging them with the Dragon Breaths. I'm going to go ahead and double shield Latios. We're able to take them out. My opponent still has a shield left, however. I have energy on my Annihilate. I am going to go for a Dragon Claw here. My opponent knows that I have energy on Annihilate, so they let the Dragon Claw go, and we're able to take them out and take that win. Now in this next battle, we are just going to get absolutely destroyed because my opponent leads a Shadow Gallade into our Dunsparce. I swap out into my Latios and they have a Shadow Frostlass. So we are going to get absolutely destroyed by the Powder Snows. My opponent farms me down, which is really annoying. Now I have to take 2 Avalanches on my Dunsparce, and I really want to save these shields for my Annihilate because their Gallade is very spammy and those Leaf Blades are really going to hurt. So I'm going to go ahead and double shield my Annihilate here. But either way, my opponent is going to be able to reach a 3rd Leaf Blade, and that is going to land on our Annihilate. Unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and let this next Leaf Blade go because I know that that's what's going to happen. But even if I had a healthier Annihilate, I wasn't going to win that anyways because my opponent has a Shadow Dragonite in the back. So I was completely hard countered by a spicy Shadow team. Moving right along to the next battle, we are going to be up against a Piloswine on the lead. Can I just say, I ran into so many interesting picks today, a lot of spice picks, probably because we are nearing the end of the season and people just want to try out whatever. But a Piloswine lead is very interesting. Unfortunately for them, we are going to be able to take them out with our Dunsparce, and then my opponent brings in a Frostlass. I'm going to go for a Rock Slide, take a shield from them, and then I'm going to swap into my Annihilate because I don't want them to farm us down with this Frostlass. Energy on this Pokemon is very, very dangerous for my backline. I'm going to be able to go for a Rage Fist here, and my opponent actually lets it go. We're able to take the Frostlass out, and then my opponent just top lefts before seeing what my final Pokemon was. So we're able to take that win. GG's to our opponent. And that is going to bring us to the end of our video. This final battle, Latios sweeps an entire team by itself, but you guys are going to see why this win doesn't really count. We are going to be up against someone who is tanking with 10 CP Pokemon, but thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you for your patience. And if you like my content, please consider subscribing. Maybe leave a like. It helps me out so much. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.